This episode is brought to you by Public Bathrooms. This message comes to you sponsored by Moaning Myrtle. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's our resident Quidditch World Cup winner of the pod, DL. How are you?
I'm good, man. The
big Irish win this week.
The Irish win.
Yeah, they do. No, they don't.
In it?
Oh, sorry, in the actual book.
Yeah,
they
do. Yeah, and
I don't know
Irish.
who wins in this. You never find out who wins in this.
They didn't tell you.
No, it was really
weird.
weird.
I think they actually do imply it because Ron's moping about, but there's no context to why. And he's like, Victor's up. And then Victor, I love you. That whole part.
I hated that whole scene.
There's a lot we can talk about.
There's so much we can talk about.
As you know, guys, from what we're talking about.
The title of this episode.
We're back to H-Pot.
Back to our bullshit.
Yeah, back to H-Pot.
We're not here because of someone having terrible rights about human beings. We're here because there has been more information released about that Harry Potter TV show that we've talked about so many times. Are you still excited for this?
I think I'm you know what's good? I'm not super excited for it.
Right.
Which means when it comes, I'll probably be pleasantly surprised, or I'll get hyped up when it eventually. I can't tell if it's because it's so far away, or
2026.
Because
so it's only 2 years. Less than 2 years.
Still a long time, It's
dude, that will go in a heartbeat. We'll be on episode 212.
Yeah. Anyway, you get my point. I'm kind of oh well, but I think it's because I have low expectations, even though it should theoretically be perfect for this.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
I'm just worried they're gonna
butcher it because they want to do it for 10 years.
Yeah,
probably.
No, I think they're gonna woke it up and change things and I don't know, make a bunch of hints, all this stuff that J.K. Rowling said after that isn't actually in the text at all. I'm worried they're gonna try and integrate. They're gonna Dumbledore might be doing little gay thing. He might be they try and highlight that he's gay in subtle ways and
I think they're trying to move away from everything she says.
I hope they just use what's in the page.
Sure.
Not because I don't want them to make Dumbledore gay. If that's what he is, great. But it's not written heavily in the page. She just adds stuff after in her as she decides, and it's
wizards used to shit themselves.
Yeah, this pisses me off as a reader. I'm you didn't earn that. You know what I mean?
I mean, everyone used to shit themselves at some point, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so my point is, I think I'm pleasant. If I'm pleasantly surprised, great.
Who knows at this point? Well, I'm excited for 2026. Let's say.
Yeah, and I don't think the 10 years thing is that big a deal. I think it's just going to take a year to, produce and release. And so it's actually, they're not going to do 10 seasons.
Let's hold off talking about Harry Potter then until we get to our main topic, which you guys will be able to skip around to. DL,
yes.
How are you, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
It's very early here. I feel like we're both very deep this morning.
Yeah. I might need another cup of Joe.
The Joe.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any more left.
I'll have to add just water to my last little bit, some hot water. I do that sometimes to elongate the coffee.
Really?
Just slowly, but this is it's the dregs.
You're a psychopath. Yeah. That's the worst bit.
Yeah, I know. I like it.
You like the dregs?
I like the dregs.
Wow. Dude, we've got Olympic fever in our house at the moment.
Yeah, do you?
We are.
I haven't watched a single minute.
And it's so random. We don't often have background TV on.
Yeah.
But at the minute, it's just on all the time. And I end up watching weird ass shit. And I'm full into it. We were watching rhythmic gymnastics last night. And if you've ever seen that was that. So my partner put it on and I was like, oh, what is this going to be? And it was fucking awesome.
Dude, what is
they were
Olympics?
Throwing shit in the air and running to the other side of the thing and catch it. It's 5 people. Oh, man.
You know what it is? It's it reminds me of hanging out with your 5-year-old cousins or whatever. And they're look what I can do. And you're and they just roll. Or they just do some weird
throw
activity.
A ball in the air and
they're
it.
See, it's awesome. And you're why? It's how did you?
Cool.
How did you come up with that? That's what I think about the Olympics. I'm I randomly,
or at least those types of sports.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Dude, we were watching the table tennis last night.
90% of the Olympics. It's not normal sports. It's underwater synchronized dance upside down. And you're who came up with this?
Which cycle? Someone's to really wants to get rid of their partner, and they're hey, why don't you try this new sport I invented where you've got to be upside down in the water for
it's
10
they're
minutes.
Making it up as they go.
Yeah.
That's what I mean about the child thing, where come watch me, and they're making it up as they go.
Totally.
I remember somebody sent me, maybe it was you, the Chinese dancing underwater synchronized, which was like really honestly impressive. But it's like
amazing.
It's so obscure. Like how?
But how do you know you're good at that?
How do you figure out you're good at it?
Yeah.
How do you find other people that also are not only interested in it but good at it?
Just at your local swimming club,
and then, like,
swimming upside down. Oh my god, that's my friend.
I got to talk to her. How? I'll dive in and swim next to her, do the same thing. So I'm just like, hey, how does
it's
that
like a weird mating ritual for swans.
Yeah. And then it's like, then I was like, fuck, it kind of looks like the haka, like upside down.
God damn, I didn't think about that.
And I was like, this is like both scary and impressive and so obscure. And so obscure.
But I can't take my eyes off it.
Yeah. But no, I haven't been tuning in. I've
watched the Olympics.
No, only what I get sent in memes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like the guy.
There's plenty of them. Like the dude.
I like that the guys become a meme in the Olympics.
The
shooting
turkey guy?
Yeah. Like now when everyone gets a goal, they go like this. It's pretty cool. Good for him. They've taken it a bit too far now.
I love that he just literally was like, he just looks like he rocked up and walked past the Olympics. Like, yeah, I could shoot. Fuck it.
Sick.
He just, right.
Sick.
Everyone else has got like the Terminator style like sunglasses and shit on, and they've got like a full like arm thing, and he's just like hand in his pocket, cigarette hanging outside his mouth, like punching a dart. I love it. I love it. Oh, did you hear about the Marvel announcements this week? We don't talk about news much anymore.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, I almost wish they didn't announce it.
So for anyone who hasn't seen this, Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man himself, is coming back in a new role in the MCU for the upcoming, by the way, Avengers movies. Because if you remember, they were supposed to be Kang Dynasty movie or something.
Well, I think they were building to it, but I don't know.
It just didn't work, did it? Let's be honest.
No, I thought they were building to a Doctor Doom thing too, but
I honestly don't know. You would assume with Secret Wars they were, but I think, what do you think about the Robert Downey Jr. casting?
I love the idea of it. I don't like that they're making a spectacle of it.
Interesting.
I think it would have been way cooler to just have no idea. And then you tune into the first Avengers movie and it's like it's a subtle, slow reveal that he becomes Doctor Doom. Ooh. Not like I go in knowing he's Doctor Doom and I'm expecting that he's going to be this villainous arc.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, we're so excited to see this new character, or we're so excited to have him back. It still
could be that.
He's different.
It still could be that.
It's still, but it's worse now that I know that that's what they're doing. You know, they've kind of like put the cart before the horse. Like, I want to see, I want to have
They've got to build the hype though. There's no hype right now for
Who cares, dude? I want to, like, this is bad. This is bad marketing because it like ruins the writing. Like, the whole point is like, I see this character I love. I'm like so excited to see him, and slowly but surely he makes decisions that aren't the ones I expected.
Isn't that exactly what Tom Holland's character's going to do? He's like,
is that? I don't know.
It's like his mentor and father figure. He's like, oh my god, Tony Stark's back.
Exactly. I want that to happen, and it will, and it's gonna happen. But now it's like been.
I don't know why Tom Holland sounds like this.
He does. Like,
he's on helium. Zendaya's got a really deep voice in this.
No, I know. Like, he's calling for.
He's like, Tom Holland, come over here.
And she's like, all right, I'll come sit on your lap. Come on, give me money.
Is Tom Holland 3 foot tall?
I don't know. But anyway, my point
is that Wolverine.
That is the story you're going to get.
Short?
You're going to get that story. It's just it's just not been telegraphed to me that we're going to.
Well, I wonder if I mean, like we've seen like spoilers for the Deadpool movie. We've seen that Marvel characters, MCU characters, can come back as different people. So, for example, Chris Evans just played his version of Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four.
Flame on.
Do you think he's just going to turn up Doctor Doom? Boom, he is the Doom. Carry on. Or do you think he's going to be a variant of Tony Stark who's going to gradually change over time, like being someone who doesn't know anything about the comic book?
I think that they'll probably, I mean, they could do either. They'll probably do the latter. It's just like, if you're doing the latter, like the whole fun of it is not knowing before.
Sure.
So like, why did you reveal it? Like, but yeah, I think they will probably do the latter. It's just, I don't like that they made a spectacle of it.
They went in too hard.
No, it's just, they spoiled it. Spoiled the arc. Like literally.
I'd love it if this was like a fake out. Like, they're gonna have to pay him so much money to come back to this movie. So I wonder if it would be cool if it was a fake out, as in like he was, I don't know, a Tony Stark who had been corrupted by Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom is actually someone else. So as in like in the comics there are like Doom bots, which are like robot versions of Doctor Doom, and it's like the classic 80s thing whereby you kill the bad guy, but oh no, it's a robot. You know, like that's how they used to play it in the comics a lot. So it would be pretty cool if, you know, Tony Stark's technology had been corrupted and Doctor Doom was like in control of him effectively, and then it turns out that Doom was actually someone else all along. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Robots.
That's all you can
say?
Fake
robots that are Tony Stark.
I'm not saying he is a robot. I'm saying a technology thing. So the Iron Man armor has been taken over by Doom in the background.
So this is just
forcing Tony Stark to do things.
This is just like a shitty Tony Stark who's not very good. Because he would never allow that to happen.
Doctor Doom is probably more intelligent than Tony Stark in the comics, at least, not in the shitty 2004 movie.
I don't know. Look, I mean, you're right. Maybe it is a fake out. I just don't know what they're gonna do. Like, that's like very dangerous territory.
Yeah,
you're like giving your fans exactly what they want, and then being like, "Ha, actually, no."
But that's good. I like that. That idea.
But the millions of people that pay to go to the movies won't. They want to go see Tony Stark.
But then he could get a redemption angle. That Tony Stark could again get his redemption. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many angles you can go with this.
I'd rather him go full dark. We always questioned if Tony was capable of that.
Never go full dark, dear.
I'd rather him go full retard.
I love all the memes that are coming out from this. Like every Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, every Robert Downey Jr. like acting like movies being in where he's got facial stuff on, or he's got he's bald or whatever in the movie, and they're like, it's Robert Downey Jr. as Charles Xavier and T'Challa and all that. I look. Did you see the thing I sent you? So there's a meme I sent you, I think yesterday.
He was like a Black Panther or something.
They had literally used his face for the Black Panther trailer, and it is chef's kiss. It is fantastic. You have to go and check that out, guys. Look. Go away and check these things out. There will be time codes in the description if you want to jump around. Listen to us speak about this crap if you want. Like, we're very good at talking. You've probably realized this by now, but if you want to skip around to maybe the main topic or see what we have been up to, feel free. But we'd love it if you'd give us a 5-star review. Do you think they should give us a 5-star review?
Of course, yeah.
I actually got my friend's phone at work the other day and just gave us 5 stars on his phone.
That's nice.
So we've now gone up at 5 stars.
Nice. That's very nice.
If you want to do that to your friends as well, we'd love it if you would. You can also pass the pod. That helps us with getting new listeners. We love it when you do, guys. Oh, and there's an Amazon affiliate link in the description if you want to support the show. Click on there, buy whatever you know.
You haven't read Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire? Go buy it through.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
HHDDD version. Yeah. That'd be fantastic. DL, what have you been up to, buddy?
I have been basically finishing House of the Dragon.
Yeah, I was going to say, should we start with that?
Yeah.
As we've been doing House of the Dragon watch.
Yeah, and we've been talking about it. We
definitely don't need to do a full episode on it.
And no, we don't. I mean, I would enjoy it, but it would be pretty slow going.
Like the season.
Yeah, but honestly though, this wasn't a bad episode to me. It was a bad season finale.
Yes,
it's a great season 8 episode of a 10 season series, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, they missed.
They just missed 2 episodes.
Yeah,
like,
maybe
it actually isn't a bad episode. It was just not a bad. It just this season felt not super well architected and too much weight put in other imbalanced.
Sure.
Like way too much time spent in some areas and then like not enough in others to make all the characters hit and make you care about all of them, but still super well written and well acted, but just not enough plot there.
I give it that. Yeah. Like, they've actually pared it down. Like they've gone from saying it's going to be a 5-season arc to a 4-season arc. So I wonder if they're just a bit like, there isn't actually that much in this book to talk about.
I think the 100% there's that. I always thought that. I was like, it feels like this is, unless they're spanning multiple generations of Targaryens, if they're trying to tell a singular story about the Dance of Dragons, it doesn't feel like it could be a 6, 5.
No, not at all.
It felt like it could be like a 3, 4 max.
I mean, I thought they were going to be talking about the dragons over time being
and maybe they will. Maybe they will go House of Dragon, and it'll be like the next phase of it, but a new story. But that seems to be going to be like a whole different showrunner. You know what I mean? Like it. They're going to contain the story to this era.
Because they announced this week that there's a new one coming out. Is that the Duncan Egg one?
Yeah, that'll be cool.
The first time people were talking about...
not that much.
Yeah, there's not a lot to play with.
There's like 3 stories. He was supposed to have 6 by now. He still hasn't written them.
Maybe he's writing for the show.
I mean, like surprise, surprise.
Yeah, funny that, isn't it?
He's behind on his deadline.
Not able to finish.
Yeah.
God,
can you imagine?
Man, I feel vindicated because I got some serious heat last week for my opinions on House of the Dragon. I'm just going to skip over.
Can you just imagine being George R.R. Martin's significant other?
Why?
Man can't finish.
I mean, they'd have a great time.
Or if he's being serviced, years.
You're just like, come on.
Hurry up, dude.
Finish.
Okay, we can cut that if you want, but sorry, that's just where my head went when you meant.
No, I got it. I got it. I was just carrying on.
Keep going. What was your point?
I feel vindicated. Like, honestly,
I still don't agree with your perspective, but I take
You
your
don't
point.
think that it was a boring season?
No, I enjoyed.
You don't think anything about this season was boring? You
No,
don't
I
think
didn't say anything.
The Damon storyline was boring.
I actually loved the Damon storyline. I think it was one episode too long because I know all the lore about the books.
3 episodes too long.
Nah, but you're not a reader. You haven't even finished the books.
You're not a reader. Ugh, I'm such a nerd.
You haven't finished the books. And
I haven't.
And they're not even done. There's only
That's right.
There's only 5 of them.
Can't finish.
There's only 5
Imagine
of them.
you're just there giving him a gobby. Like, oh my God, it's going on so long.
That's what I'm saying. I have been.
I gotta
for
say,
literally 20 years. I'm waiting.
I got to say, I got
Gobbing.
a lot of heat for my opinions, and then we had a lot of people do a bit of a U-turn after that final episode. Like, we had a bunch of people messages who were like, maybe not boring. Maybe I've been a bit too harsh by calling it
boring
super
moments.
boring.
Yeah.
I just think it didn't go anywhere. Like, we're at the same spot that we're at the end of the first season, except one of the guys is now a bit crispy. That conversation about his pickle getting burnt off was
tough,
brutal.
But he it was just so in character for him. About how he would
great.
talk,
yeah,
and like how he would say it, and like the vulgarness of it. It was spot on for his character. Look, everything you said is fair. It was like it was the Sahara Desert in terms of plot,
definitely
development.
Yeah.
It was a ripe jungle rainforest in terms of character.
Sure.
Moments and character developments. 100%. It was like a very, very character driven season.
Okay.
If I have to choose between over plotted, over actioned Game of Thrones season 7 and 8, where there's no character substance, no depth to like the interactions and the dialogue, or this where it's under that and way more character driven, lore driven, and dialogue driven and personal journey moment, I know which one I choose every time.
There just needs to be a middle ground. And I don't think the characters I wanted to have good moments got them. So Rhaenyra's son, he didn't get enough. I was like, that kid needs more screen time. He's awesome.
He's a good actor. He's going on an arc though, right? He's being his petulant self. He's going to obviously have a change, right?
Yeah, he needs to get through that shit. I don't think Rhaenyra did enough this season. She was kind of boring. She was just like, respect me, and then carrying on with life.
She was suffering from the lack of plot, like lack of actual plot things for her to do.
Totes.
But that was like I think that was like a part of her. I think that was a part of her arc. Like she's gonna now over rotate. I think.
Oh, you reckon she's gonna go full Mad
I think
Queen?
she's gonna. I think this whole season was like her trying to stop everything. And when I don't remember everything that's gonna happen. But spoilers for House of the Dragon. I'm pretty sure.
Actually, don't tell him. I don't want to know. I don't know.
No, I'm talking about things you do know.
From the series.
Yeah, I haven't read the book, finished it.
It's a fucking tome.
I got halfway through. I was like, this is so
Me
boring.
too. I just was like, this is dull as.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure when she finds out that like what's his name has been like fleed King's Landing, the burnt guy.
Oh, really? Right.
And like she's gonna think that what's her name actually lied. And
wait, let's put some names. Let's put some names.
Allison's son, Aegon.
Yeah. The guy
who's got crispy
burned.
sausage.
Yes. he's got a bunning sausage.
Yeah, he's got a bunning sausage. He's fled.
Right. So he is gonna flee.
Unbeknownst to her, we see it at the end of the season.
Oh, do we? Okay.
Yeah, he's in the thing leaving.
Why was there like a flash forward and it looked like the head White Walker was him? Why? DL.
I think you're extrapolating.
Why? No, a lot of people said this.
I don't think
he had the melty face and everything. I'm telling you. It's a thing.
I'll look.
You keep talking. I'm going to find it for you while you're talking.
I don't think that's a connection.
So she finds out Alison's son's fleed.
I think like he's fleeing.
What's his name again?
Aegon.
Yeah, that's right.
Aegon didn't know that his mom was going to offer him up to die, obviously. And she didn't tell him. So this has happened unbeknownst to Alicent, but she's agreed to have him killed. But when Rhaenyra finds out that he's fleed, or he's flown.
He's fleed.
He's fled.
I like that.
He's fled. So Alicent's gonna like agree to kill him. Rhaenyra is gonna find him not there, think that she was betrayed by Alicent, and go full, because she was already reticent to forgive her in this season finale. I think she's gonna go full crazy.
I just think she's too nice. It's just like, just fuck her up. Like, who cares?
Well, now she's gonna. Is my point. It's gonna over rotate. Is my point.
Go crazy.
Tragically, because it was not. Alicent was gonna kill her son.
Oh yeah, right. She was gonna let her kill her
for
son.
better or worse. So. Yeah. I think that'll go crazy. You'll see like this is going to be a high octane.
And that's another thing as well. Season. The killing of the son at the end of the last season, there were no repercussions for it. It just didn't go anywhere. I was like, they mourned for like an episode, maybe an episode and a half, but there was no like
what do you mean?
Visceral reaction to it.
They killed the little baby.
No, at the end of the last season when he got, yeah, that's true, but that was
episode.
That wasn't dragons.
Episode 1.
I wanted dragons.
Well, that was the point.
Dragons.
Like because that happened, she couldn't also answer with dragons.
Yeah, right.
That was the point.
Got it. Yeah. So let me just do a quick thing for you now.
Yes.
Then. Let me do conspiracy theory corner. Let's get a little theme tune for this because we used to love our theme tunes. It's like
X-Files.
What
is the X-Files
That's not
theme?
X-Files.
What
I
is
can't
the
remember.
X-Files theme?
Hang on, put the X-Files theme tune in, Matt. Just here. Conspiracy Theory Corner, DL. I'm going to pose this to you, and you just tell me what you think.
Okay.
You can say yes or no.
There's no maybe.
There's no maybe. In conspiracy theories, that's definitely not maybe.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Exactly. Isn't that a Jedi thing that they said? And then they're like, you can't have a wife.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the irony, as Obi-Wan says to Anakin.
You have to choose yes or no.
Yeah.
1 minute, what? Anyway, let me give you Conspiracy Theory Corner, DL.
Yes.
A day after the penultimate episode of this season dropped,
yes,
there were rampant headlines that the final episode of the season had been leaked online.
Yes.
It was leaked at least a week before it was actually supposed to air.
Yes.
Now, I'm positing this to you that this was not getting fantastic reviews online. A lot of the talk online was that it's been a very slow season. People were getting a little bored of the Harrenhal storyline.
Fuck, I loved it. I get it.
I pose to you that they dropped it on purpose. I think it was leaked on purpose so that they could spread out the critical reception over a week rather than getting all of it all at once, because they knew the slower final episode of the season, when the whole season was slower, was not going to garner fantastic critical reception.
I don't think it worked.
I just said yes or no.
I mean, no, but I don't think that's like maybe, but I don't think so.
I just think they knew they had a dud of a last episode.
I think
and they were like, and people wouldn't like it because people have been waiting all season for something to happen.
Yeah, no, it's also accentuated by the fact that it's going to be a 2-year wait.
Right.
It's like, guys, you may lose viewers if you end that way with like.
I'm bored already.
Yeah, like I think that's tough for them. I also think this is a writer's strike thing.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think that probably had something to do with it.
Because they apparently they were done writing, but you do a lot of writing as it's going into development and edits and changes. And
and on the fly,
they obviously couldn't. Yeah.
While you're like,
this feels like
filming. Yeah,
this feels like an ending where they're like, "Fuck, we had a couple more episodes we were thinking about doing while you guys started."
Or even
add in a montage while we wait, and hopefully this ends soon, and then it never ended. Montage it is.
Interesting. Yeah. All right, we've talked way too long about House of Dragon. DL, what else have you been up to? Oh, wait, would you recommend people go and watch House of Dragon?
I would recommend it, especially if you're a book reader. The Harrenhal, they gave Harrenhal its due. We see a green man, readers, in this story. A green man.
A green man.
Do you remember when Daemon goes and touches the tree, how there's that little weird thing that climbs behind? There's a bunch of lore behind that. Okay. Really cool stuff for readers. I understand if you're not a Game of Thrones
so everybody
book reader,
but you and maybe Kyle.
I mean, it's a New York Times bestseller. You might get a bit bored, but it's still great acting.
Yeah. I agree. It's great. It's well acted.
Yeah.
This season did a lot of setting up. I think the next season is going to be the one that you want to be in for.
But
because when you get to see Daemon versus old Blue Eye, that's going to be.
That's the other thing. They butchered Blue Eye. Like they didn't give him anything to do. He was super cool, and then he just did nothing for it. Well, the last episode was. I liked the scenes he finally got. Yeah. But it was like a little far too little, too late.
He's just an angry boy. Yeah. Anyway, what else have you been up to? Give me another thing.
We are. Countdown Mission to Mars.
Oh.
Big fake out. A24 level fake out. Cannot recommend this.
What's this?
This is a documentary with Elon Musk's face on it as a thumbnail. So you're like, okay, I'm about to hear about maybe SpaceX's journey. Maybe it's a documentary about SpaceX. Really cool.
What's it called?
Countdown Mission to Mars.
Right, that's what it's actually called. Okay.
Yeah. The
Netflix.
Since the SpaceX journey is a crazy one. They've basically created rockets that can land themselves. Shit out of sci-fi. That's it's wild. So I was super excited to watch this. I'm a space nerd. I also am interviewing at a company.
You're just a nerd, my man.
Yeah, all kinds. I also am interviewing a company that sells to hardware engineering companies to help them deliver. So launch companies, all sorts of stuff. And so I was like, maybe this will be educational and entertaining. Which was neither.
Edutainment. That's what everybody wants on their
reasons. Which was neither.
Yeah.
Cool. Big A24 level fake out. Elon's in it every maybe 2 seconds every episode. It's multiple episodes, and it's about this non-for-profit project that SpaceX sponsored to basically send, symbols of humanity, non-astronauts to the moon.
Yeah.
Or not to the moon, to space, to be like, hey, we're starting a consumer brand product and anyone can go to space. And it's a billionaire. It's a cancer survivor. It's a diversity person. Okay. And it's an interesting concept. Really cool. nice that SpaceX is doing this, and nice that it's a charity thing, but it's like totally mismarketed. Has nothing to do with Mars. Has nothing to do with Elon Musk. Barely touches on SpaceX. It's mostly about these interviews of like these random people from Ohio that have nothing to do with SpaceX that are like won this award, and I'm like, or won this like opportunity to go to space. If you're expecting a SpaceX documentary, it is.
I wasn't, but thank you.
It is not that.
Okay.
If you saw this, you would be.
So no recommendation from DL on this?
No, I only got through 3 episodes, but...
that's interesting. I've actually got a non-recommendation too. So we watched the first episode of a new show, and this is on Amazon. It's called Those About to Die, and it's plastered everywhere. It's all over whenever I open IMDb. I've seen it all over YouTube. It's trailer, ads. It's absolutely everywhere. It has the guy who plays Ramsay Bolton in Game of Thrones, the young guy who's great in Game of Thrones. Anthony Hopkins in this. It's not terribly casted. The show is boring. It's bad. The CGI is awful. It's set up to be an exploration of one of the Caesars about to die and the passing of his power to whether it's his army son or his politico son. Yeah. And the first episode killed it for me. It was terrible. So Ramsay Bolton's character plays like a lowborn guy who's created a betting ring for himself that's really popular.
What's it called?
It's called Those About to Die.
Those About to Die
on Amazon, and it's got loads of intrigue around how him being lowborn, he's pulling the strings of people so that people win different races and people lose lots of money and bets, and how he tries to gain power through that. Mm-hmm. And for something that sounds so interesting, the CGI is so bad. The acting is so subpar. I was just like,
Anthony Hopkins is in it.
I said that.
I missed that. Sorry.
He is the Caesar who's about to pass on. And it's like, I think that's why it's called Those About to Die, as in he is about to die and pass his power on. And there's so much, there are so many interesting threads which are created in this first episode, but it's just so boring. I was like, I can't carry on watching this. I do not fall asleep watching TV shows or movies. I fell asleep during this.
Too bad. The thumbnails look really cool.
Doesn't it just?
All these images of like alligators and lions fighting
and the
it was like, this is just Gladiator 2.
Right. and the whole kind of thing of it is like, if you watch the opening credits, it is just a Game of Thrones opening credits. That's all it is. And it is trying to be the next Game of Thrones. We did an episode a long time ago on shows that tried to be Game of Thrones and failed.
Forgot about
and
that.
This goes into that category fabulously. It is absolute trash. I refuse to watch any more of it. I can't recommend this in the slightest. If anyone cares about my opinion on anything, which right now, why would you? This is just not good.
Okay.
Guys, if there's anything we haven't talked about that you would recommend we do, hit us up at Podcast Assemble or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. You can find all of our details at www.podcastassemble.com. We're all there. Send us memes, send us news, send us reviews, send us Olympics memes. I'm loving them right now. They're the best.
Yeah.
We'll call you out if we do. We had a couple of messages about our Twattum episode from last week. There was so much in that book. We were obviously going to miss some things out. Friend of the show, Kyle, messaged. He had some feedback on some of our recommendations about...
And some pronunciation.
So apparently we're no good at pronouncing things. He says, as someone who listened to the audiobooks, 80% of the book itself, we got most of the pronunciations wrong, which,
for Twattum?
For Twattum, which is pretty hilarious, even though I was definitely looking at the index at the back.
I don't have anything to say about that. I'm not surprised.
You do you.
First of all, I read it. Second of all, like, the guy's name is Ulcasaur.
Yeah.
Like, he sounds like a dinosaur. Like, I don't know, dude. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Totally. And I love the feedback. Thank you, friend of the show, Kyle. If you've got any further, let us know. Apparently, you say Darrow terribly from Red Rising as well, which, I believe that.
Fair enough. I'm behind it. That's valid criticism. It's not a difficult word. It's arrow with the D, he told me. I was like, oh, okay, Darrow. But I like Darrow because it's like he's kind of Darrow. He's kind of like dour.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like it kind of goes with his name.
He's an angry boy.
Yeah. Anyway.
DL, do you want to preface our main topic for this week?
It's the main topic theme.
This week, we are doing Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
We're back on our bullshit, baby.
We are coming to you by Mike Newell, who also did the likes of random rom-coms and Donnie Brasco.
What a random career this guy's had.
Odd bit of movie picking there, but
Great Expectations, Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Yeah, okay.
He is all over the place.
But, he's nailed a couple of them, and probably one of my Yeah, maybe not the Prince of Persia. Although I understand like why you cast Jake Gyllenhaal in that role.
Totally.
Because it's like he's good looking. He's got the
Because you
hair.
want to whitewash it. I understand. You're a racist.
No, I just mean like, he isn't that white. He could you could have gone and cast that freaking guy Ramsey Bolton as a Roman. Like that guy's as Irish as they come.
Yeah, that's very true.
But my point being, like, I get it's like, big appeal, video game IP, but yeah, it didn't really work out.
I mean, all the crew's back,
Yeah.
but there are some fabulous new characters who are brought into this. Not necessarily new, all of them, but we've got Timothy Smalls as well, Wormtail, who I'm just going to call it the ones I really liked in this. David Tennant's fantastic as Barty Crouch Jr. We've got Robert Pattinson, first appearance in this.
Probably
Ralph Fiennes.
his big break, really.
Yeah, it really was. We have Clemence Posey as Fleur Delacour. And we have a great gratuitous cameo. So this is instead of Goofy IMDb picture this week. We have a gratuitous cameo.
Nice.
So if you remember the scene we're going to talk about in a minute at the Yule Ball, it actually has the band Pulp. Now, if you're a 90s head for music from the UK, so, indie pop from the 90s.
Let this feeling die.
Pulp did
the
things
magic
like,
die. They did like 4 songs.
Yeah, they did way too many songs.
I loved it.
I love Pulp, but this was a gratuitous, awful cameo. Absolutely no
Fuck
need.
that. Love it.
Do you have a goofy IMDb? Do you have a stupid plot summary?
I do. Where is it? Emo's peak styling made it even into the Harry Potter franchise. As Hermione blossoms and Patton gets his big break, we get into the juicy stuff of J.K. Rowling's 7-book series.
Oof, 8-film series.
Yeah, true. +1.
Yeah, +1. Mine's much simpler than yours. Mine is just Harry Potter is back to take on his most challenging battle yet. Emo hairstyles.
Yeah, his bangs.
Yeah, exactly. There's loads of cool, like, random tidbits about the fact that the directors just, like, wanted them to just be themselves, and they all came back from summer holidays with, like, long floppy hair. I was like, yeah, roll with it,
because it was like the peak emo era, and they were like our age. The crazy part about this was like most of them. Hermione was like our age, or at least my age. I think Ron's older.
Okay,
what's his name? So like Rupert Grint. So like you probably grew up with him. Our ages were aligned as these movies were coming
He's 30,
out.
I mean, Daniel Radcliffe's 35, so he's literally...
That's what I'm saying. It's pretty cool. Like, we were growing up with, like, it was a really cool experience as a kid. Point being, I had the same hair.
We all had that hair at that time. God, if anyone ever were to find my MySpace, which is genuinely a thing...
I don't think you can find them anymore. I looked for mine the other day.
You can find them. Trust me, you can find them. I just couldn't log into mine, which I'm pretty happy about. If I could delete it, that would be
I'm pretty sure mine is
fabulous.
Gone. I looked as far and wide as I could. I even tried to find Gil. Apparently they had one in Europe called like Skyblog or something.
Oh, I've never heard of that one.
For like the European French and like speaking countries, and I tried to find Gail's and it was gone.
My favorite is when you find like actors and stuff have been on like these types of websites
previously. Before they got big.
Yeah, like I think Channing Tatum's got a MySpace page and it's like hilarious. Like there's a bunch of them that are like that. It's fabulous. Yeah. I think the thing that worked for me in this specific movie is the creeping in of the darker tone. We definitely talked about it when we talked about The Prisoner of Azkaban. I think it's starting to like the scar prickling stuff and how like his dreams are starting to affect him. I think does a really great job of conveying encroaching darkness versus youthful optimism sort of clashing together,
which is the probably main theme of this book.
Probably maybe if there are themes.
I think we like struggled pre-recorded to be like, what are we gonna do with themes? I think it's actually that it's like, now that you said it, you kind of sparked it. It's the theme is, youth being broken. Like everybody's parents
end of emo haircuts.
Yeah. The barber.
Yeah, exactly.
Trip to the barber. We'll talk about themes later then. Point being, this one, if I could say so myself, was probably one of my favorite books and definitely my favorite movie adaptation prior to this rewatching. And I think post the rewatching maybe still is.
Yeah, okay.
I do have some notes.
Well, mine flits between Prisoner and this.
Okay.
Because there's a lot. I mean, they've got some bits that I want to talk about that was missed from the book of this, and we try not to go too deep into the book side because we're nerds. But
I think it's worth talking about.
There are bits that would have fleshed the story out, and certain characters. So, for example, we talked. You were joking before about Barty Crouch, the character.
Yeah.
He like that full character is just lost in this movie because they miss a huge chunk of story out.
That I think even that whole arc, even in the book, wasn't my strongest point. No, it feels a lot of Deus Ex Machina, but in the movie it's way worse.
Yeah,
because they cut some stuff.
Well, his reasoning for him even being there is lost because a whole section of the book's missed. But outside of that, I think it does a pretty good job of sticking to the books and conveying how I felt the world. I saw the world from these books at this time.
Yeah, for sure. I think not only the tone, but also the plot beats, they like did their best to not cut too much. I would say a 2.5 hour runtime.
It's pretty long.
I don't know what else you do.
Yeah,
I think they did as good a job you can do to make this massive book into one movie.
Definitely. And this gets a load of heat from like book nerds because they're like,
I don't think
you missed out my favorite character, and it's like I get it. Like, what do you want?
I don't think it's fair unless you have unless you literally do like a 3 hour movie.
I would like to see the Lord of the Rings style extended cut of this movie. I'd see that.
The point I'm making on that tone,
make the Zack Snyder cut.
Yeah, honestly, I would.
Give me the Mike Newell cut.
The reality is though, this probably book will benefit the most from a conversion to television.
Oh, I think the fifth one will as well. The fifth one for me. So
they both will. Well, the fifth movie is the worst.
This is the tipping point for me.
But like, it's not because of the length. Is my point.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think they tried to cut that. I think they realized 2.5 hours is a lot for a movie for kids because it is a kids movie. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And they kind of they were like, how much of this can we cut out? And they cut out. This is where for me this whole series falls off a cliff. After this, I'm out, basically. We're going to have some fun talking about
totally fair. And it's also partially because Dumbledore sucks.
Oh, I mean, so bad.
And he gets bigger and bigger in the next 3
He is a huge part of the latter parts of the series. I think, talking about characters that suck, there's one thing I have to call out up top, and we're going to talk about stupid stuff a lot, but the fact that by the 4th book, he's still doing these stupid, I love magic scenes.
Yeah, but this is every Harry Potter thing we've done.
This is making you look like a dildo at this point. Like, come on.
It is.
And dildos are useful.
And you don't have to like even say it.
Right.
Like, just be like delighted. Like, the reality is, it's not crazy that Harry Potter would be like delighted with the first time he saw a crazy tent house because he lives in a cupboard.
Yes, of course.
So like, to be fair to the guy,
at this point in the book.
No, but to be fair to the guy, you get my point. Like, he doesn't get to see the stuff outside of the school.
Yeah,
like the weird, cool things that everyone. So like, I don't. And you're as a reader seeing this with him, and it's cool that he's like excited, but he doesn't have to just be fucking flaming about it.
Yeah. It's the fact that he's drooling and his knobs in his hand while he's saying it. It's like, magic.
Yeah, like, exactly.
It's too much. Like, and he is so useless throughout this whole book. I'm just like, I know it's almost like a joke at this point, but him getting by on sheer luck by this point is just utter nonsense.
Like what?
You're just like,
because in this, like, you think it's luck, but it ends up being very architected.
It absolutely. But there are times when, I mean, maybe more so in the books. There are times when he has to get through things and he purely does it by accident. Like the Sphinx, for example. He's basically like,
they cut that,
right. And there's bits of this, and I mean, it makes him look even worse because it's like everything was manicured so that he could get to the end of this maze. It's nonsense.
Yeah,
terrible character. Plus, I still don't like Daniel Radcliffe.
I actually like him the best, minus his haircut, in this movie. I think it's his best acting of the series.
Interesting.
Like, I feel his pain when Neville's like talking about some plant. He's like, unless you have a freaking Tibetan turnip. I'm like, oh, dude, nice. Like, nice alliteration there, Harry.
Well, this is the one where they do like the whole like start doing the actual fallouts for them because they touched on it previously, and in the books they fall out every fucking year. They had to make the year last somehow, so they always fall out. There's always something. Hermione gets a.
This is the biggest one though. I think Ron and him for like half the book are angry at each other.
And the fifth one, do they fall out as well?
He falls out with everyone.
Yes.
And then the 6th one is like more Ron and Hermione's like
that's right.
fall out. And so each book has like a different one.
It's sort of, the movies kind of blend together for me a little bit, except for this one where they all have emo hair and I remember exactly everything that happens. The memes
of this one where it's like no one, Harry Potter 4. And then it's just like Dan Radcliffe's like blown up head in his hair with like Ron and everybody.
I think we're doing full spoilers, by the way, just in case anyone's not across that by now.
Voldemort comes back.
He's back.
Yeah,
but
surprise.
I think the Moody being an imposter twist is one of my favorite twists in the whole series.
I agree. I just think I don't love the execution of
in this,
and even in the books. I'm like, here's my complaint with it. All 3 of those characters are new characters. We've had no engagement with them. Barty Crouch, Barty Crouch's son, and Moody. So it's like, it kind of feels like she made all that. She didn't earn it. She didn't leave seeds of these characters so that we know about them. Even like Red Rising, other books like fantasy, like even if you don't meet them, you hear about them. She didn't do that. And then they all kind of come into fruition and into close, except for Moody in the book. Sure. So it's like they're all siloed to this one book, one part of it, kind of feels like a little Deus Ex Machina. I wrote myself into a hole. How do I get out of it?
And I guess that makes it easier for them to cut parts of them out.
Yes. But
Moody's
overall,
eye, for example.
Overall, the plot point of Moody being fraud is and being mimicked by a Death Eater that he chased, phenomenal
love it.
work. Yeah.
Like
that idea is great.
And in the book, they do a fairly good job of like bringing it out. Like this, I've got a bit at the end of this, which is like things I'd forgotten about. And one of the things I'd forgotten about was like the whole bit around the pensive, or however you say it. The pensive. I always said pensive growing up, but I think that's just my Britishness having to pronounce every syllable possible.
Yeah, I say pensive.
The pensive. And like him finding out like the breadcrumbs around Barty Crouch Jr.'s, trial and stuff. Like that's quite nicely done in the books. Whereas in this, you're just like,
it kind of feels like a Law and Order episode.
Yeah.
It's like, why? I was like, it's like, this is the cheesiest bit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right? B,
big
like, why is he there?
And
like, why is he just, if he knows that he potentially, and I guess like maybe it's because he's got to see the guy that like, he's so loyal. He wants to look in his eyes, the guy that's like, basically
ratting on everyone.
But it's like, dude, that's a pretty big risk if he rats on you.
Big time.
So there's like no explanation of like why he would be there. Maybe he didn't think the guy knew. And then there's like the part that's like just the delivery of like, why did you wait so long? You saw he was there.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no, please. Like you had this big golden egg, just use it.
Yes. Mad. And I think that's a waste of David Tennant. So we were talking about David Tennant before this, before we started talking. So for me, David Tennant, I've known him for a long time because he was my favorite Doctor Who. Yeah. He's been in a bunch of stuff, all the way down to like, doing silly performances and things like Final Space, which is a show I loved one season of. Whereas you in the US didn't know David Tennant?
No, not really.
Because he was a big up and comer, and it's a waste of him. He is a fantastic actor. And as well, we're going to talk about this as we go through, but like the fact that you don't know that he gets his soul sucked out by a Dementor at the end of the movie in the book kind of leaves a massive loophole in the whole 5th, 6th, 7th
it's
books.
Also a great way to tie to like the last movie where we saw Dementor. Yeah.
And the themes of, not wanting to believe that bloody Voldemort's back and whatnot. But you mentioned Red Rising a minute ago.
And like the ruthlessness of Dementors.
Precisely. And
they're like, they'll fuck with anyone.
And the government trying to hold on to power at any cost. That's kind of what I was getting to.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Red Rising a minute ago. And I like that as an interesting kind of parallel to where you are in your life right now. Because you obviously grew up with this. You were, significantly younger when this came out. Yeah. That childish optimism of this is definitely not in the Red Rising books. Do you feel like that's sort of showing the maturing of your reading habits? Because that's definitely got some YA tropes.
For sure. I mean, I also think like I would read Harry Potter now and still enjoy it for the first time.
I think so too.
Which is good.
Saying that though, partner, we talked about this last time. So I've had the partner trying to read through the books because
the first two are tough.
She's halfway through the third one and she's given up.
Really?
Yeah. And I think the third one's
good.
A good one.
Yeah.
So I don't think she's ever going to do it. And I'm devastated.
Well,
I feel like we might have to take away that engagement.
Her loss. The reality for me, I mean, I think it's probably, this was the first book. I guess where were you where were you at when the book came out? Like I'd already read the first 3. This is the first one I had to wait for.
Okay.
So I went to like the Borders thing, the launch, got it, was like reading it in the car ride back with my mom. Okay. It was very, very like fond, nostalgic memories.
Yeah. Mine was the 5th one. So the 4th one was out when I got into the books.
Yeah.
And I effectively sped through the first 3, burned through them.
Yeah.
I even reread them a bunch of times. And then the 4th, I'd finished the 4th one. I think that had only just come out a couple of months before. So that's when I had to wait for the 5th one.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed the wait, like personally, because I was like, and this was a time when you not everything was on demand as well. Like you had, like you didn't even have rumors about when it's going to come out. It's not like you could just pop on Twitter and be like X or whatever it is and be like, when's this thing coming out? And there's like 1,000 people giving you, overviews of the process.
Figure it out.
Yeah. So it was a really interesting time.
Yeah. No, I remember. And I remember
when did the movies ever actually catch up to the books? I don't think they did.
No.
Because I remember I was in college. I was at the end of high school when the first movie came out, I think I want to say. And I remember I was in like a class, doing like a media studies class, and we went and watched the first one because my teacher was just like, I want to go and watch this fucking movie.
We're going to go to high school or?
As in, no, college is post high school in the UK.
Okay, so you went to, okay. I remember seeing at the, like last year of uni, seeing the last, or either the first or the second part of Deathly Hallows in theaters.
Okay.
For me, which would have been 2012, 2015.
Yeah, that's much later on. Yeah. I guess if we're zoning back in on this specific movie then, like this talking to this, like, my only real comment here is like, what is going on with all this hair?
Yeah,
it's not just Harry; it's Ron as well.
No, it is.
And the brothers, the twins, they've both got.
It is a thing.
It's a lot of hair.
It's almost like it's pretty awesome, actually. I'm glad that it happened because it's like this weird thing.
A snapshot
it's this
into
weird
life
snapshot into the life of that point of
2005.
our like early 2000s, mid 2000s like zeitgeist culture.
Yeah.
For us growing up, and I think that it's pretty cool that they did that, to be honest, because it's like only in this movie.
Oh, let's look at some.
Only in this movie.
Let's look at some emo songs from 2005. Get
Oh.
this: "Sugar, We're Going Down Swinging."
Yes.
Boom, massive. Fall Out Boy. "Hey There, Delilah." Plain
Yeah.
White Tees. What is happening?
Like in supermarkets everywhere.
Dance Dance by Fall Out Boy. There are some phenomenal emo songs coming out around this time. This is no wonder they had the big hair.
Yeah,
Boston by Augustana. Oh my god,
get
the
it.
slowest song of all time. Death Cab for Cutie.
Yeah.
No wonder they were so into their long
I
hair.
mean,
at
it
this
was
point.
tough. We were in high school. It was angsty. I think. Did you notice like how fucking like this movie did feel like a slave to its runtime, because like in the first minute, like Harry Potter is like had a dream being thrust by Porky.
Yeah,
It's like so fast. Like
Mine is waking him up.
I was just like, yeah, like it was. They gave him a dismal prep job
terrible.
on
The
what a
Porky?
Porky is.
Yeah. Tire.
It was like literally 2 words. Like he's like, "What are we doing? I don't know. Hey,
It's
there's
a
a shoe.
porky."
Grab it. What is it? What's a Porky? Grab it. Hurry, Harry. Ah! Like
Yeah.
it's like, dude,
Yeah.
Weasleys. You really need to give Harry a bit more prep
Anything.
with the transportation
You know he's
systems
in a
the
cupboard,
Wizarding
right?
World. It's like the flu powder first, then this. There's always issues.
I don't know. Maybe
It's
Maybe
like the shoe's stinky. What is it?
are
Touch
they
it. Hurry.
naive?
It's like, I don't know.
Are
Dude.
they naive? I just think. I mean, Hermione knows what she's doing, but then at the same time, if you're Harry Potter,
No one explains it to him.
But if
They
you're
have like
Harry
a whole
Potter
walk.
and everyone stood there for like 5 minutes holding onto a boot, you'd be like, "Why are you?"
It wasn't 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
It was
but
literally 4
realistically,
seconds.
If everyone grabs a boot, you go like, "Why are they all grabbing that boot? Maybe I should grab the boot."
Well, he
too."
does.
Eventually.
He does, but like no prep.
Hurry.
No prep. Like, hey,
Zero prep.
You're
This
going to
is-
get teleported.
This is my favorite Death Eater design, by the way. I know we're skipping around here.
Yeah. No,
This is my favorite. Like in this one,
The KKK look.
yeah, they've got this full KKK look. They've got these like weird, like almost skeletal masks on the front.
Yeah,
After
yeah.
this, it becomes a bit almost like steampunk. It's a bit strange in the next one. I'm not sure why they went that way with it, but this one, I'm like, God damn, that's a Death Eater to me.
It was cool. I mean, I think they in general just nailed
Yeah,
that part.
absolutely.
Like the art,
It is
the
literally
vibe,
just the KKK,
the theme,
though, isn't it?
like, yeah, even Voldemort. But before we get really into it,
Yeah.
what were you watching when this came out in 2005? What was your like palette?
God.
What was your palette?
How old was I in 2005? That's
don't
the
know.
real question. So I would probably be end of UK college-ish, high school time. So fuck, that's a hard question. Probably Scrubs.
Yeah,
I bet you
true.
were deep into Entourage at this point, weren't you?
No, Scrub, that's too late. That would have been after. I didn't actually watch Entourage till late, and it was after. It was in college.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like 24. Seinfeld, The OC,
There you
Heroes.
go. Oh, okay.
Remember Heroes?
Yeah, I do. I never finished Heroes.
I heard it was good. The ending, I didn't either.
But as well, this is a time before like streaming and stuff, so it's harder for us to watch a lot of these things. We had to like
Yeah.
full illegally download all the shit.
or you had to like use Pirate Bay or
How I Met Your Mother. That started in 2005. I was all over that from the get-go.
or you'd find those like streaming sites that were like buffering,
Yes,
buffer.com.
yes.
Yeah.
Supernatural. Did you ever watch Supernatural?
I didn't, but I know a lot of people did over this time. I remember.
My
I remember
brother-
the show.
Loved Supernatural.
remember
That
the
went
show.
on for like 15
Yeah.
plus seasons or some shit. That's
Yeah.
wild. Look, there is a big hole in this, and I mentioned it a minute ago. So there is a Winky storyline. So Winky is a house elf, and
Yes.
But-
Spew.
yeah, Spew is missed out completely. So
Yeah.
effectively, the whole reasoning behind Barty Crouch, who is a government official who's got multiple different hats, apparently, including been at a high school to judge a contest, which I didn't know government officials had to do regularly, but apparently they do. So effectively, like his story arc in the book is that he was meant to be going for Minister for Magic. He missed out because his son turned out to be a Death Eater. He sneaks his son out of Azkaban as his wife is already dying, and his son then goes back to join Lord Voldemort. And then this whole
He sneaks him out.
yes,
No, I think his wife does it without
No.
him knowing.
no, his wife was dying, and his wife's final wish was
Oh.
that she wanted the son to get out of prison.
Oh.
And when
yes.
they did a switcheroo, they took some polyjuice potion.
Yeah, I knew that.
She became him, he became her. And
I didn't know that he was in on it.
He snuck him out. Yeah.
I thought he
But that was
like
his great shame.
discovering.
That's his great
Okay,
shame. That's
okay.
why he's like so conflicted. He's like,
Okay.
he wanted his wife to be happy, but he also wanted to see his son rot in jail, which is pretty harsh. And so like the whole story is that he was under the Imperious Curse all the time, and Winky, who's the house elf Boredom, was basically his keeper and allowed him to do things like go like little trips outside and help, like would magically bind him to herself so that he couldn't run away and all this stuff. And in this movie, you miss this whole chunk of like why he's at the Quidditch World Cup, how he got there, like how he got out of prison. Like, what the fuck is this guy doing here, and why does his dad hate him so much?
It's pretty bare bones.
It's so opaque. You're just like,
and it's like the worst. Yeah,
it's like I feel like in this the pensive is like you put like a coin in and it plays like a memory to you. That's what it feels like to me in this one. It's like that's $1, please.
Yeah, one little. So
the whole
bite.
Crouch story, and like I know I gave a very basic overview of it there. But all of the pain, all of the introspectiveness, and all of that, like, you know, him having to come to terms with this terrible thing he's done, he's missed out. And you just get this pencil-pushing dildo who's got, like, a Hitler tash.
That was that was my biggest complaint. I was like, that part of the story is super weak.
You don't know why he's there. It's just confusing.
I totally hear you, but I know
everyone's fucking read this at this point.
Yeah, so I must just go on an aside and say, what?
You were going to say great mustache, weren't you? I could see it in your eyes.
Why do the twins speak in sync?
Oh, yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
It ruins every movie for me.
Wicked.
It's like, why? Like, it's never explained how are they just telepathic? Like, this is so annoying to me. And I don't know why it didn't like bug me the first time I watched these movies, but on rewatch, I hate it.
Yeah. There's a lot of things like that you sit there and you're like, as a kid, you kind of miss it.
Yeah.
But as an adult, critically thinking, you're like,
this is terrible.
And why the fuck are we critically thinking about this movie, though, to be fair?
I mean, I think because it's also like just some things are just dumb. I did think about this actually when I watched it.
Yeah, right.
As a kid, this must be the worst. Like, can we talk about how bad of a sporting event this would be to be a viewer at?
The worst. Wait, are we talking about the Quidditch World Cup, or are we talking about the
both?
Triwizard?
But I'm thinking mostly Triwizard. But like think about it.
The Triwizard, everything after the dragon is nonsense.
I mean, how funny is it that like the Triwizard tournament is like the most popular sporting event? They talk about it, but like the worst sporting experience in the sense that you either get the most exhilarating experience ever,
a dragon flying at the teachers,
but like you might die because there's a thin bit of plywood separating you from like 4 burning like
you gotta say magic
dragons.
Though, right? You gotta be like,
yeah, fair enough. But then it's either that or you're like staring at water for 2 hours and a bush. It's like, wow, what did we pay for these tickets? like well, you know, these like parents are coming, paying hundreds of dollars. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, that would be a shitty
hundreds
sporting
of sickles
experience. And you're
galleons.
just looking at water, like, okay, like after the initial cheer, it's like
3 hours later, oh, they're back.
Yeah, woohoo! What happened, guys?
Yeah, even in the books, though, like in the books, in the water one, the one where they're in the in the lake. There's a bit where Dumbledore goes over and talks to like the Merchief.
Yeah.
And he's like, and the Merchief's telling him what happened. And you're like, so you didn't know what happened? So what the fuck were you all doing standing there for? Are you just cold? Like, what's happening?
They're missing like a Hunger Games level like TV or something for the viewers.
They're missing someone following them around with a little camera the whole time.
Yeah.
The games themselves, and in the books, I think, especially the underwater one, it's more like trial by combat. You have to get through different trials to get to the folks. But in this one, it's just a bit like, all right, if you can swim, I guess you're gonna find him.
Well, no, they had trials. It wasn't as architected. But
it wasn't quite as well explained, though. I think
the Grindelwald,
the Grindelows,
Grindelows or whatever.
I don't know. Imagine just sitting staring at a hedge for like 45 minutes, then a dead kid jumps out. You're like, what just happened?
Like, holy shit.
Whoa, what did Harry do in there?
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. But saying that, though, the dragon battle is fantastic. That's one of my favorite action scenes.
It's cool.
Probably. And it doesn't even... It's surprising how short that scene is.
Yeah, it's cool.
They had to cut some out because it's just like such a dense scene.
It would have been cool. Like, it's going to be cool to see the other parts
versions
of the... And maybe they won't do that. Maybe they'll keep it. But you eventually hear about them in the books, like how each other champion got through it.
Yeah.
If you're going to do a show, you have like a lot of stuff you can use to
totally
expand on that.
I do like that. And I like the fact that they sort of extrapolated the dragon scene a bit more. They sort of went, actually, let's make the dragon escape.
Yeah, like from the entire place. But again, like, you don't get to see much if you're a viewer.
You
almost die.
They flew around
like after 10 seconds, you're like, okay.
Oh my God, you're so right. It's the worst tournament ever.
What do we think? Should we move on to like things that we're missing? Like, progress on a
very,
bit?
very quickly before we do that, I want to talk about a couple of the performances.
Okay.
Because I think this,
We haven't talked about Voldemort at all.
of all movies, has got some of the most perfect casting in it. So, some to just quickly mention: Victor Krum, just exactly how I imagined him in the books.
Perfect.
Karkaroff, exactly how I imagined him in the books.
Perfect.
His teeth are gnarly. Crouch Senior, like perfect. Hitler Tashinol.
Yeah, didn't really think about it, but yeah.
Well, that's how I pictured him.
Yeah,
Super
it
straight.
fits his
100%,
persona. Yeah.
100%. I think if we're looking at some of the older movies that are returning characters, Lucius Malfoy, what an inspired piece of casting
and acting when he comes back and is revealed.
Fantastic. And slightly minimal roles again for Maggie Smith, who's McGonagall, and Alan Rickman, who's Snape. R.I.P. Alan Rickman. What like amazing choices for actors. Just perfect. I can't imagine anyone doing it better. In fact, recasting McGonagall is a fucking minefield. How do you even go about that? She's just too good.
You might make her younger.
I don't know.
Maybe you just like take a whole different approach.
You want a sexy McGonagall? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. Like that, but I feel like that's what they're gonna like. Somebody like that might be the worst idea ever. But somebody in Hollywood's gonna be like, that's what we should do.
A young, sexy McGonagall.
You know what I mean, though? Where
I see what you're doing.
You age her down. I don't know if it has to be sexy, but it's more like it's different. Like almost like a Lanistia from
I was gonna say
whatever her name is from Twaddom.
You wanted Rebecca Ferguson to play.
I just want like a badass, hard ass teacher. You know what I mean?
Jennifer Garner comes in and she kicks the shit out of everyone.
Yeah, like so. I don't know. I guess it's gonna be tough for them because they did such a good job with pretty much everyone but Dumbledore. Although he still looked right.
That's the thing I was gonna say.
Yeah,
like you have the perfect casting for everyone, but like almost one of the pinnacle like MVP characters. And it ruins it a little bit. That whole like, did you put your name in the goblet, Harry?
Yeah, he's a dickhead.
He's an ass.
Yeah, and then like even when he's like, come judges, we need to talk to the Merlin. Like I'm like, dude, like why are you yelling at everybody?
Why is he angry all the time?
All the time.
I think that's
it's almost like he's annoyed that Harry's around. And like I empathize with that.
He's like, but to be fair, maybe he recognizes that Daniel Radcliffe's a really bad actor. And he's like, fucking.
I empathize with it. Like, but even the pensive, he's like, take your mind at it. It's like just weird.
That scene, right? So that scene I always find
like,
really
that's
strange.
Not him.
It looks like he's CGI'd into that scene. Do you not think that he's staring into the void? It's like middle distance.
That's the point, though. It's his memory.
It's so strange. No, because like when he comes out of the pensive. And he speaks to real Dumbledore, who's sat next to him.
And but he takes his memory out, like he's using that as a memory to. Like,
oh man, it's weird. It's an odd scene. Mad-Eye Moody, what do you think?
Great, perfect.
Brendan Gleeson's a perfect choice.
Yeah, perfect.
Not how I imagine that character in terms of the eye specifically.
I don't think I had like I don't remember.
I think it's just the eye. The eye gets me every time because it's like so bulky and it's right over, like it's so far off his face. In the book, it's just an eye, a magical eye. He's got like big scars around it.
I think it's perfect though.
I hate how it sits on his head.
I think that's it looks mad.
I get the point of it.
Well, yeah.
I get like it's for kids, right? It's for kids to be like distinguished and go like, oh, that's a weird eye.
That's an ugly motherfucker.
But I do think he does a great job of playing like an Inception character almost because he's acting as Mad-Eye Moody, who's acting as Barty Crouch Jr., who's acting as Mad-Eye Moody.
It's great.
It's fantastically done.
Great.
And the bit at the end where he does the whole turn and he's like, fascinating creatures, dragons, ain't they? And all this. And it's good, man. That's a good bit of acting right there. What did you think of Ralph Fiennes as Voldemort?
I really like
Ralph Fiennes.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought his like if they do anything different, I think and I upon like when I first watched it, I was like, oh, that's scary. His face is like a snake.
Yeah.
I think it should be more
well, yeah, there's a lot of actual
I think it should be like
that.
crazy or weird, like you're not even human. Like he's still too human.
Well, the interesting thing is the eyes for me. So the eyes was a big one. A lot of people called this out when it came out. So in the books, Voldemort has red eyes.
Now, are they black in this?
They're just his normal color. So the point was, and Ralph Fiennes, I'm never going to say his name right. He basically was a bit like he's going to get. His idea was that he would get more emotion out of the character. You'd be able to see the psychoticness. If he just had regular eyes, which isn't a terrible point. Like if they were just like effectively black or like covered red, you wouldn't get as much of the the emotion coming through. But at the same time,
he is quite theatrical.
He has so much going for him. They weren't even going to do the no nose at one point. They were just going to do a pretty normal looking dude by the sounds of it. So I was like, oh, okay.
I criticize him. I'm like, but what if it looked so over the top and bad that it was like, you know, it
Yeah,
really
100%,
depends on the
definitely.
job. Like, I think this is subtle enough to get the point across.
Well, I think this is the best he looks. Like, I think after this, he loses some of the menace.
Yeah.
So in the fifth one, he's not in it as much except for the end, the very cool fight scene at the end.
Yeah.
In the sixth one, he has no menace to him. It's like, I don't know what happens. It all gets sucked out. It's like they're trying. It's like when you're trying to be cool. Hello, my fellow kids.
I don't remember.
It just, we'll talk about it when we
Yeah.
get there. But this, for me, is the best version of Voldemort.
Oh, he was fucking badass.
Terrifying.
And scary.
And the weird little creepy thing.
Yeah, like the way he's like walking as well. Like he
Love
like
it.
glides almost. Like
It's amazing.
And it's also the set piece, like where you go into that. That was a really well imagined set piece. The Tom Riddle house is exactly how I imagined it in my head.
Yes.
And
Agreed.
like the whole backyard and
Totally.
graveyard. Yeah.
Very, very over the top, very almost Tim Burton, I
Yes.
thought. Yeah.
Yes.
I did have one other note here that just says Harry's banter is shit. The bit where they see Mad Eye Moody for the first time and they're like, "What's that? Is drinking, do you think?" And he's like, "I don't think it's pumpkin juice." I was like, thank Christ, no wonder Voldemort wanted to kill him. I was like, this kid is so annoying. Joe Chang's pretty shit in this. I really liked Robert Pattinson in this. He was great.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
Patton great.
Emma Watson's really starting to distinguish herself.
I mean, this is when the crush started.
yeah.
When she walked down those stairs, boy,
Well,
I was infatuated as a child.
I can believe that. She's about
Yeah.
the same age as you, so that's allowed.
It's allowed.
It's creepy
it's
now
allowed.
to say that, but
No, it's not. She's still the same age.
if you're watching it for the first time, it would be.
Yes, but I'm not. But
That
I
whole
was.
scene,
Twas not.
Let's talk about that in a minute. That's actually one of the things that I totally forgotten about from this movie. I hated that scene.
Which one?
The Yule Ball stuff.
I didn't mind it. I
It's-
thought it was like so par for the course for like emotionally immature teenagers.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, it's not
Yeah.
not that part of it. I just feel like in this movie, it slows it right down, and I get it. It
It
starts to
wasn't a
build some
lot of
tension.
slow stuff though.
Yeah,
in this
true.
movie, it's sped through. You cut spew. You cut.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I do think, no, but you're right. Parts of it do feel rushed, like the beginning scene you talked about before, where he's in bed 1 minute and the next he's finished the World Cup.
You're like, what the fuck just happened?
What? Where am I?
Like, because that was like a really fun part of the book as
Yeah.
well. Like,
Yeah,
you're
the
like,
whole
oh,
Quidditch
what the
World
fuck?
Cup.
The World Cup of Quidditch. How cool.
Yeah,
Other countries, there's wizards there. Like, I just remember enjoying that.
yeah.
It was,
I mean,
over
like,
in a blank.
would you want a Snyder cut version of this?
Yeah, for sure.
I would watch.
I think
the
we'll just
3-hour
get the
version.
show though.
The show. Yeah, I mean, but like 10 years ago, we didn't
Yeah.
know this, did we?
Yeah.
That's
No,
pretty-
Snyder Cut would be great.
It's like 10 years old.
But I
still.
don't think there's a Snyder Cut. I think they think they wrote it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Let's talk about the Return of Voldemort then. That honestly is possibly one of my favorite scenes in this whole book, in this whole movie franchise.
Good.
Like
Really
they
good.
so accurate to the book as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bit where he chops his hand off, they do a really good job of
Yeah.
cutting so that you see it falling.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a bit grim, isn't it?
Yeah. And the touching him and the
What's happening? is
touched
he in
him
church?
delicately. And like all the like, I would have liked more build up though with like, I think they cut a scene where it's like Snape and some guy and Igor Karkaroff talking where he's like, look at my arm.
They
and
do that in the film.
Did I miss that?
Yeah,
I
they
must
do.
have
They
fell
don't do a
asleep.
lot of it.
Yeah.
In the book, there's 2 or 3 times
Yeah.
where Karkaroff's trying to corner Snape, and Snape's a bit like evading him and
Yeah.
whatnot. But you're right. Like that could have done more.
Yeah, it'll just benefit from the show being more elongated.
Yeah.
Biggest things I think that we're missing.
Oh, can I just say one thing
Yeah.
about that scene?
Oh yes, go ahead.
The Cedric death scene.
Great.
Well done. Done well.
Ner.
I did notice one thing in the graveyard
He
when
blinks.
they were
I don't
probably
know. I don't know.
they definitely kept repositioning his body to give Robert Pattinson's face more screen time, because like when
It's
it
a good-looking face.
when it moves around, I'm like, that's not where he died. He died over there, and he was definitely facing a different direction. So like they clearly have repositioned it so that our Pats gets more screen
Fair
time.
enough.
I fucking love that.
Good looking dude. He has a
Why
good
wouldn't you?
looking dead face.
Oh my god,
Like he played dead the best I've seen while also being good looking.
I give you that.
Like
I
you
give
know,
you
maybe
that.
there's all that. That's probably, you know what? That was his casting tape for Twilight.
I'm dead.
That dead vampire looking, good looking face. It's like, yeah.
Maybe he should come in when we do Forgetting Sarah Marshall 2 and be the vampire.
Yes.
Remember we were talking about it a couple of weeks
Yes.
ago?
He's not funny enough though.
He
He's
could
just
be the
weird.
vampire. Yeah, he is a bit strange.
He's just weird. Biggest things that weren't in the movie.
Yes.
Like
Or can we do things we'd forgotten? Oh no, you do.
it's a bit of both.
Yeah, okay.
'Cause I, like,
there's a
didn't
bunch of things
realize-
I've forgotten about.
At first I wasn't sure that there was like that much missing, but I think like what you realize about this movie is there's just not a lot of short, like toned down time.
Sure.
You know, like the Christmas time, the Halloween
Yeah,
time,
you're right.
the little smaller moments. And there's not as much comedy in it because of that, because that's usually where like the whole Spew storyline and that entire arc is just hilarious. Because like
for anyone who isn't au fait with the book, Spew is the Society for Protection of Elvish Welfare, maybe?
No, it's basically
Elvish Welfare. So it's Hermione wanting to save the elves.
Yeah, she's like basically trying to free them the whole book by she finds out that like Hogwarts has enslaved elves, like in the kitchens, and she's like trying to free them by leaving like little pieces of clothing everywhere for them to pick up. And she creates this whole little
and
like
Dobby's
student,
got them all.
Yeah, and student organization. And Dobby's also reintroduced, which I forgot. You don't
he's not in this,
but he is in the book. She's basically, it's like a storyline of her like student org.
It's good to keep him relevant because he's not in the third one in this. He's not in the fourth one in this. But in the books he is. And then when he pops back up to show them the room of requirement or whatever.
Yeah.
It makes sense. And in these, I don't think you even see him until the seventh one.
Nah, he's just like,
it's like when he pops back up, you're like, who is that?
Yeah.
Who is that weird little creature?
Annoying little fucking. Yeah, that's a big one.
Things I'd forgotten about. I'll do a thing I'd forgotten about. This is the last time Lavender Brown is played by a black actor.
Which one was Lavender Brown before?
So
I only remember her as white.
Lavender Brown is in the next one. She's the one who has the love thing with Ron.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because, I mean, obviously when you're in Hollywood and it's the early 2000s, you see the last name Brown, you go, gotta be a black character. So it was a couple of different actors in the first few movies. And then in the next one, when she gets like a full part and she has a speaking part.
Yeah.
Interestingly, they change her out for a white actor. Isn't that very Hollywood for you? Other things I'd forgotten about, how shit that Yule Ball scene is. The bit at the end where they do the pulp section. It's not very good. Rita Skeeter in this?
Yeah.
She's awesome.
She's awesome, but they cut
They cut so much of her character.
I guess it's just like, it's tough because she would have, the payoff of her being an animagus and Hermione catching her would be really awesome because she's so good if they added all the other stuff. So like that part was cut and that'll get elaborated on in the show.
You think so?
You have to cut that though. I get why they did it.
For the movie,
yeah. There's nothing else you can do.
Yeah, for the movie, I'm with you on that one. Should we do you have any tones or themes outside of what we already talked about?
Moaning Myrtle is just a deviant. It's like a sexual deviant, dude.
She truly is.
Yeah, watch out for that one.
I mean,
Me too for the boys.
I mean, maybe some of the guys like that.
Ghostly touching.
Just watching. Ooh, cold hands.
Cold hands, yeah. Temperatures, it's a thing. Okay.
I do think it's that clashing of youthful optimism and the impending darkness. I wonder if that's like a growing up allegory as well. Like,
there's like a way to put
the darkness is coming for you.
There's like a word for it that I forget, or like a phrase, but it's like, it is the coming of age, but it's like more specific to when you lose your childhood,
virginity,
your childhood virginity. Like when the concept of like, if you could distill it down, when you realize your parents are real people.
Yeah.
When you're like, you're disillusioned from.
You realize Santa Claus isn't real.
Yeah, you're disillusioned from like youth.
Yeah, sure.
And that's what this is. Like,
interesting.
Yeah.
Then they do that quite nice, I think, in this one.
Because they do all the youthful things, and then you get their first romantic interests, you get all this stuff, and then it's just like savage.
A lot of kids get to an age where like it's like 10 to 12 where they're like, they know everything. They're the best at everything. And I think that is quite nicely summed up by some of the characters in these movies.
Yes.
Definitely Seamus Finnegan. Shall we 3 best and 2 worst?
We shall. Yes. Playtime is over in this series after this one, and I think that's one of my best. Like the fact that they nailed that tonal shift of the 3 best. Like it's like perfectly architected to be like, oh, how beautiful the youth is until everything goes to shit.
Yes.
And Voldemort's back and the best looking kid dies, and
I think the thing they fuck up with that is in the next one is they keep like trying to hammer it home, like the whole Hagrid, there's a storm coming, Harry. It's like we get it. We're not idiots. Like we can see that. Voldemort's back.
I think that what they could have done though, and I think what they should have done, and I don't remember 5, but it's more like, hey, not only does this mean your friend died, not only does it mean we need to be worried. It's like armies. This is war. Like, and then war becomes a different thing. Like that's what they should have.
What is it good for?
Really set the tone with the villains.
I had the tone.
Yeah.
The tone makes, absolutely. And it's interesting because through this, it's still the youthful, is Snape the bad guy? You know what I mean? It's like, is Karkaroff a bad guy? And then at the end, it's like, no, actually, it's Hitler. Hitler's the bad guy.
Yeah, the bad guy.
You know?
Yeah.
Or the KKK leader guy. That's the bad guy. No, it's politics. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And then best adaption.
The adoption of Harry.
By Plot Beats. I'd say like they made the cuts they needed to make.
Yeah. I say between this and The Prisoner, these are Yeah, that's one of mine too. And I just, to add to those, just the character additions, I think the acting choices were like, outside of Gambon, they were absolute primo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's outside of his, oh, did you put your name in the cover? Like, everything else is picture perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know why they went with him. Why is he going so much irreverence for the book? It doesn't make sense. Anyway, we get off topic.
Yep.
What are your worsts?
Spew missing. Really.
Yes, I had the Winky storyline.
Yep.
Very similar.
The Barty Crouch like storyline in general, like it just I forgot all the stuff that you told me, so like that informs it better. But like it's just the weakest part of the movie.
Agreed.
It's like total Deus Ex Machina. Why do I care?
Yeah.
And then as a book fan, like it really is a great adaptation, but it's just too fast. It's just there's nothing you can really do to change it. But that is one of the worst parts of it. Like
mine are very similar. Mine are just, aside from the dragon, the tasks barely make sense. They're barely visible. No one can fucking see what's happening. You said the elf stuff, the Winky storyline missing, just cuts so much context out of this.
Yeah.
And finally, it just doesn't have enough Mark Wahlberg. Who would Mark Wahlberg be in this book?
He doesn't have a place in this book.
Imagine in this series.
He'd have to be like the American ghost. Like the one foreign exchange student that came from America somehow died and became a ghost.
He'd be Mad-Eye Moody.
God, no. Too important a role.
The only one to survive the death curse. He's in this room.
He's in this room, guys.
My eye's looking at him right now. He'd be perfect in this. All right, let's talk critical reception then. What do you think the current IMDb score is for this? And this has been out 10 years, so this is pretty finale.
8. I feel like it's going to be just below.
7.7.
Yeah.
Pretty good shout, though.
Yeah.
Pretty close. Rotten Tomatoes?
85.
Ooh, it's 88.
Okay.
Not bad at all. I think that's more aligned to where I'm feeling on this, which makes sense between IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Letterboxd then. It's always 3.6, but it's never 3.6.
3.8.
3.8, my guy.
Like 3.8. Yeah.
It does feel like a 3.8.
It does like a 3.8.
I feel like we've barely had anything over 3.8.
Yeah, rather it's ruthless.
Yeah. Brutal. And finally then, our rating system, which as always is this better or worse than the most average movie we know, which is Aquaman 2018. And why?
Better? Because it's better.
It is.
It is better because it's better. It's a better adaptation.
It's a better adaptation, yeah.
Adaptation.
That's a very English versus American thing to say.
Adaptation is better. The acting is better. Story's better.
It's just got more to it, I think.
It's all better. I don't feel like I need to justify myself with this.
Brilliant. It's better all around. So let's do some trivia, true or false to wrap up. Do you want some trivia, true or false?
Yeah, do it.
Fabulous. Trivia, true, trivia, false, DL. In one of the first takes of Hermione's Cinderella quotation marks moment, Emma Watson actually tripped. Is that true or is that false?
I feel like I've heard this. True.
She did trip in that family dress and fell down the stairs.
Ow.
Imagine.
Owie.
Imagine she had like a black eye and had to halt filming for like 6 weeks or some shit. That'd be wild.
Yeah, poor girl.
Trivia, true, trivia, false, DL.
Yes.
Scenes with Harry had to be cut
because of his hair.
To a growth spurt Daniel Radcliffe went through during the making of the movie. Is that true or is that false?
Feels honest, but like also like, is it that big a deal? Just like CGI I'm up false?
It is false.
Yeah.
There was a quote by Mike Newell, the director, who said some of the scenes he filmed at the very beginning of filming versus some of the end, Harry looked like a completely different person to him. Nothing had to be cut, though.
Okay.
So I made that up. You didn't fall into my trap this week.
Nice.
True or false, DL? At least one full-scale dragon was constructed on set, which could even blow real fire. Is that true or is that false?
False.
Actually true. The dragon was created partially from the basilisk puppet from the Chamber of Secrets movie. That's pretty fascinating.
It looked pretty CGI the whole time. Anyway.
I think it's more like to just get an idea of where it is and whatnot. But then,
Got it.
Pretty cool. Finally then, trivia, true, trivia, false. At around 6 minutes, the elves Dobby and Winky were cut due to time constraints. True or is that false?
At about
That's a really
6 minutes?
specific time frame. That would be at the Quidditch World Cup, one assumes.
I mean, it's so specific that it must be true.
Yeah. I went way too specific.
True.
I think it's just because it had something about Dobby and Winky in it. However, if you watch carefully in the first campsite scene, right after Ginny points to something and says, "Look!" you can see the two elves riding on llamas. But they go by so fast you can barely see them. So I think you were 4 out of 4 this week.
No, it's 3 out of 4.
Pretty good for you.
I'll take it.
That's pretty good for you, big guy. So let's quickly rank these then. We do this every time when we finish a Harry Potter book, which we do once a year for some reason. What do you reckon?
I think this is, for the book, the best, and for the movie, the best of the series.
So far we've talked about the The Prisoner of Soul. No, that's not right. We've the Philosopher's Stone.
Prisoner of Soul.
Or what's it called in the US?
I don't know.
It's got a different name in the US because apparently
the Sorcerer's Stone.
That's right, because Philosopher's too difficult.
Yeah.
Talks about the Sorcerer's Stone, the Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban, and Goth.
I reckon it's fault 4, 3,
1, 2.
1, 2.
Yeah, me too. I hated the second one. Absolutely fucking hated it. Ultimately, this was a fun thing to go back and watch.
Yeah, it always is.
I just feel like
I have rewatched this one so much though that I get less out of it.
Same.
Yeah.
And it hurts me because I want to watch past this, and then as soon as I put the fifth one on, I go, oh, this.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate this. So yeah, this is where my enjoyment kind of stops with these movies. I can't wait to come back in 12 months' time and talk to you about significantly worse.
It'll be way more
movies.
fun though.
Probably. Just tearing into pieces.
Just ruthlessly tearing apart Daniel Radcliffe. Because he gets so much worse after this movie.
In terms of acting.
Yeah.
Even the characters, I really don't like them. Anyway, DL, do you want to wrap up the show?
We can wrap up the show, and as we do, please pass on the pod, give us a 5-star review, and a big thank you to Matthew Bliss for editing and mastering this week's episode. If you'd like Matt to be part of your podcasting team, get in touch on business@mbpod.com or head to mbpod.com to find out more about his services. If you want to hear his work, listen to Coffee with a Podcaster. Could have used a cup of Joe this
We could have
done.
done.
Short thought pieces on topics related to podcasting, short over a cup of coffee. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Tommy.
And while you're there, you can give him a 5-star review. Would you do that for Matthew Bliss? I know you would, DL.
Yes, I already said I would.
And if you're there, you can give us one too. It really helps with algorithms, things we do not understand. Please give us that 5-star review. We really appreciate it. Hit up that Amazon link in the description below when you're buying your regular Amazon shop. Whatever you normally buy, I don't know what you buy on Amazon. You could be looking to buy the whole Harry Potter DVD series, maybe.
You could be trying to learn French and buying it in French.
Like
me, and never reading a page of it.
I bought
$250 purchase.
Spanish version. Fantastic. Please do. It really helps us. It'll help sponsor the show a little bit so we don't have to go down the Patreon route. We do appreciate you all. Thank you for sticking with it, guys.
Thank you.
DL.
Tally-ho.
Tally-ho.
Tally-ho.